Now, last Memorial Day, John Ford and I went on a Canadian fishing trip. In fact, this trip is coming up on many of the public television stations that run this program following this show, and it's called Beyond the Soo. But what you're going to see coming up here is between here and the Soo. It's an interesting trip for those of you who want to know how to go about crossing over to Canada, and it makes an interesting day trip in itself. Well, we've been on the road for a couple hours. We're crossing the Mackinaw Bridge right now. This is the Straits of Mackinaw. On the one side here we have Lake Huron. On this side it's Lake Michigan. In between is the Straits of Mackinaw. But after we get across the bridge, we're going to be in St. Ignace, the sister city to Mackinaw City, and I have to make one stop. I always have to make a stop. It's at the Deer Ranch. The Deer Ranch, Harold Creasy there has a small deer herd for people to come in and see. I just can't cross the bridge without checking those deer every time I go by. Well, we're here at the Deer Ranch. Unfortunately, Harold and Sally, the owners here, are gone right now. It is Memorial Day weekend, so they took off. But look at the little fawns. There's one nursing right there. There's one, if you can tilt up a little bit, John, there's a little fawn walking. Oh, yeah. I tell you, that is a brand new fawn within the past day or two, probably. It could be even this morning's fawn. But they walk around within an hour after birth. Now, right in front here is a white deer. That's a little buck. You can see the nubbins on its antlers. Yeah, it's smelling the little fawn. Oh, a lot of people like to come up here and look at these deer. The antlers grow at the rate of about a ½ inch a day during their peak growth coming up. So it's kind of fun to stop by and see how the antlers are coming along. Well, hey, we got to get up to Sault Ste. Marie, so let's go, John. Well, unfortunately, this weather isn't getting any better, but we are almost to Sault Ste. Marie. You see the sign right there, Sault Ste. Marie city limit. You know, you look at that sign, if you could go back and look at that, you'd see that they have a championship rifle team in high school, hockey team. Oh, you know you're up north when the teams, are rifle and hockey. Also, this is the home of Lake Superior State University, so it's a college town too. But like Mackinaw, which is spelled two different ways, you'll find the Soo spelled two different ways. S-A-U-L-T, which is the French spelling of it, Sault Ste. Marie. And a lot of people shorten it to Soo like it sounds, S-O-O. In fact, one of the most notable Soos we have up here is the Soo Locks, which we're going to get to in just a few minutes. If you haven't seen the locks before, this is impressive. Here we are at the Soo Locks. This is just a jump-off point to Canada. The Soo Locks refers to, they call these locks that connect Lake Superior over here with Lake Huron down here. Now, there's a difference in 21 feet between these two lakes, so there's a rapids. Now, what they use to get the boats, say they're coming from Lake Superior here, the boats will float in here and down to this emptying port, filling an emptying port, and they shut the locks on there. Those are called locks right there. So they close it up, and it's open at this end. And, well, they close these off, and then they either, depending on whether the boat's going upstream or downstream, let the water out or fill it back up to get it on the different level. But it has to jump 21 feet one way or the other to go from Lake Superior to Lake Huron. This is open 10 months out of the year. They close it for 2 months in the winter. But there's people running around here doing all kinds of jobs. We're going to go up on top here and take a look at the locks. I don't know if there's any boats in here right now, but let's see. Well, up the viewing platform here, this is pretty neat. You can get a view of the locks from above. Oh, easy to see here, John. You can see the difference in the level. This is the level of Lake Superior. That's the level of the St. Mary's River and Lake Huron. And the rapids is over towards the Canadian side. But these boats come in here. This is set up right now to take a boat from Lake Superior down to Lake Huron and the St. Mary's River. In fact, we do have, if you want to come into here, this is a little warmer in here right now. But here we have one of the Soo Lock boat tours. This is right there. I got a brochure on it. Soo Lock, you can see the boat right there. I guess they actually take a ride down here. Maybe they get off here as a junction point, but this is how a boat comes in, and they use the big boats. Now, the Edmund Fitzgerald, you remember that big wreck that happened in that terrible storm? Edmund Fitzgerald made many trips through here, loaded with iron ore, and the locks are what keep commerce going between the Upper Peninsula, Minnesota, and the rest of the eastern United States. Oh, well, I guess they are taking this tour boat down through the locks. You can see the water boiling up here. They are venting it out the bottom of the lock. You can see, boy, the water is dropping here fairly quickly. This is how they do for the big freighters and for the tour boats, any boat that wants to go from one side of the lake to the other. That's pretty neat. So they're emptying the locks right now. We're going to be heading up to Sault Ste. Marie, to another famous landmark besides the Soo Locks. Now, this is a college town, I told you. Lake Superior State University is here. There's a lot of night spots, a lot of places for the college kids. And a place that most sportsmen are familiar with is the Antlers Bar. I suppose years ago they just had deer antlers around the bar, but it kind of caught on. They have many, many mounts, a fabulous museum almost. You can stop and have a burger, some great food, and look at some artifacts of hunting, fishing, shooting over the years. As I said, it's a landmark up here in the Upper Peninsula, and this is where we're meeting our party. You can see why the Antlers is a favorite meeting place of sportsmen. A polar bear mount isn't something you're likely to see any place but a museum these days. The mounts in here are antiques, elk and 10-point bucks that go back 50, 75, or even 100 years. And yes, that is a two-headed calf, an interesting freak of nature. The Antlers Bar, one of Sault Ste. Marie's historic landmarks. That's where we met our fishing party. Russ Hurlbert, Bruce Turner, Tom Porn, Bill Goldsmith.
Yeah. Are you? That's Bill, yeah. That's Bill.
Bill is.
Bill and Russ drive up from downstate.
I think there were 7.
It's going to be 11.
11
of us all together.
Okay, that's good.
And this is Graham, my son.
Hi, Fred.
And Greg, also my son.
Greg, I know. And Scott Seaman, organizer of this annual Canadian fishing trip. Before you go across the border, it's only practical that you exchange your money, right? Go ahead, tell me.
It's easier you don't have to deal with the exchange rates at the stores. It's just much easier to deal in their terms.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do is, let's see, take out all my American money, all the stuff on 50, 65. Maybe I should keep 3 Americans. What do you think?
Okay.
So 65 bucks. What am I going to get for it? She's going to give me the exchange. What is the exchange rate right now?
22 cents on the dollar.
22 cents. Okay, well, at the bridge they would have given us 25 cents, or 25% exchange. So we're going to get our money exchanged here to, well, I'm sure the Canadians call our money funny money too. But here it is. They have $2 bills, $5 bills, $10 bills. Yeah, this is for my last trip, by the way. Now I have some more. Now, how much do I get?
65, 79, 30, 20, 40, 60, 70, 75, 77, 79, and 30 cents.
30, okay. And then when we come back, we can exchange it as we go back through here.
Right. We take 24 cents off every Canadian dollar. 2 cents difference.
Well, I don't understand that, but I don't have to. Those are the rules, and that's the way it works, and I got my money exchanged. Okay, on to the border.
Thank you.
Oh, they're the Soo Locks. We're going across the international bridge here over to Canada. Take a last look at the locks from high atop the bridge, and there's that, in fact, that same boat, tour boat, is going through the locks at the time. Now, this is the rapids, John. You can see right here, this is what the locks avoids. The rapids here on the right to the north side. So the boats couldn't get up there, and that's why they installed the locks. Across there we see the Canadian Soo, and we'll check into customs as soon as we get to the other side. Okay, we're coming into customs right now. Immigration. Now this is a time that tenses up a lot of people, because sometimes you can get hung up here and they're exploring through your gear. You have to declare certain items you have. Now that camera that John has on his shoulder that you're looking at me through, we have to declare all of that, all of our electronic equipment and anything of high value. In fact, I have a list right here. We're going to go in through customs and make sure we can get this stuff back out of the country. Right there, Scott's talking to him. What are you looking for?
Just people in general who perhaps don't belong in the country. Canadians have the right to enter Canada. Mm-hmm. Anybody else, it's a privilege that the Canadian government extends out to foreigners to enter Canada for the purpose of tourism, things like that. So we ask for citizenship and then your purpose of stay and length of stay.
You say that people might not be admitted if they can't prove. Is a driver's license proof enough?
Driver's license isn't proof, but we'll take it because most Americans don't travel with birth certificates. But
Okay.
proof of citizenship, things like birth certificates, passports, voters' registration cards, because only Americans can vote in the U.S. So if you have one registered to you, then that proves to us that you're a U.S. citizen.
Here's my list of stuff. I was told to bring this with the value on here of all the camera equipment that we have.
Right.
Do you need this?
No, we just like to know exactly what it is you're bringing into the country, and knowing what the nature of your visit is, we're assured that you're going to be taking all these goods back with you, so there's no need for documentation.
So what you're looking for is any transactions that we might do in Canada, either buying things or selling things.
Not buying things, but selling things. If you were to bring some of your equipment up and leave it here for any reason, we'd have to have documentation on it.
Okay.
Either duties and taxes paid or some sort of documentation to let us know that you'll be, or assure us that you'll be taking the goods back out of the country.
So people who take anything... Customs and immigration isn't nearly as spooky when you understand what they're looking for and what you need in order to clear. When we made it through customs, we were on our way to Frontier Lodge, where bush plane service was available. But to save money, we'd portage back into Rawhide Lake. Canadian trips don't have to be expensive, and they're definitely not out of the reach of the average angler. Most of the Michigan public television stations that are telecasting this program right now will be following it with a 90-minute special featuring our trip. Canada has a lot to offer sportsmen, just as Michigan does. And for us Americans, it's kind of nice to venture beyond the Soo now and then. There we go.
Great
Well,
work.
that's not a bad one.
No.